Hold on. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Meet the Movers webinar. Shane, can you turn off the music for us? Thank you so much. Um, we are here and we're super excited. Wes is having a little bit of a connection issue right now, but he'll be joining us momentarily. He'll be joining us momentarily. And today, we're going to get into some exciting topics of what's going on in the moving industry. We're going to dive into NexMuv, which is here's Wes now. Excellent. The man, the myth, the legend. We're going to talk about NexMuv and their leading industry and how they're affecting the moving industry currently. And then afterwards, we're going to hand it off to Mario Reyes, our CEO and leader at Southbay Moving Systems. So let's jump right into it. So currently, during peak season, the busy season, the summer's over. What are you walking away with? Did you hit your goals? And then kind of as you move forward, what are you looking forward towards?
Well, first of all, I'd like to say hello to everyone out there and thank you for joining. And this is not a retake, but a part two, because Wes had some audio problems or some connectivity problems, and we wanted to go over it again because we wanted to deep dive a little bit more about it. And so to talk about the summer was filled with challenges. It's a different moving year. There's still opportunities out there, there's still opportunities out there. We just have to, I think everyone, all the companies and all the production people had to work a little bit harder to satisfy the clients this year opposed to probably last year and the last few years. I'm optimistic. I've been in the business since I've been 12, and I turned 60 next month. And I still think that, we're a long way to go, and it's going to pick back up, and our biggest problem is going to be, time off again. It isn't the case right now, but it will be. Whatever good time was good and it lasts, and bad times don't last as well. So if you're in a down period right now and the revenue is not there for you, don't worry about it. Work on things that you can work on that you normally wouldn't if you're busy. And just get ready because it's going to be busy. It's all been a cycle. We've all been through it. So, and I know we're going through it as well, but we're working on initiatives and things to sustain our business.
Right. And was this summer any different from any other summer?
Well, I think that, traditionally, it's said, and I don't know if there's any historical evidence to back it up, but usually during an election year, a lot of things go flat and then we coupled with high interest rates. I think that like it was a double whammy for the storage industry. And then also there's more, corporations aren't moving as much. And when they are, they're doing lump sum, meaning just giving their transferees an amount to move, and they're going to find their own movers. And kind of leads us into the segue with Wes. I think I had one question from someone last. Do you want to save that till last, or do you want to save it?
Yeah, we're gonna say the question right until the last.
All right, no problem.
It sounds like we're just gonna get straight into it, and that's what you want to dive into. Wes, he's excited to talk to you, and it's and thank you for joining us again, because we know we didn't get the full amount of knowledge that we could really scope and carve from you. So we're excited to have you join us. So thank you. And let's just get right into it, you guys. What happened in the moving industry this year? What's happening in the fourth quarter? And what do we have to look forward to with NexMuv in terms of changing the moving industry? So I'm going to hand it off to Mario and let Wes and let the experts do what they're supposed to do.
Well, one, I just wanted to thank you, Wes, for joining us again. And if you could just give a brief introduction to the audience out there and just tell a quick bio, and then get right in and just tell us a little bit about NexMuv.
Sure. So Mario, first of all, thanks for having me on again. I'm sorry I couldn't get my electronic act together, and I consider myself kind of a nerd, so I don't know what happened last time, but here we are this time, back trying it again. As far as my background goes, I'm a third generation moving and logistics professional. I grew up in Los Angeles, and there's some people like Mario that will remember my dad's moving company, Western Moving and Storage in Los Angeles. At one point in time, we were the third largest Mayflower agent. I spent the vast majority of my time in the logistics and van line moving business. Um, and then I left the moving business for a short period of time to start my own logistics firm, which is still operating and going. But I was asked to come and run a company called NexMuv. And after spending 40 years in the moving industry and we're looking around and realizing that that model that frankly didn't change very much from when my grandfather started his moving business was outdated and outmoded, I was delighted to come in and lead NexMuv. So NexMuv is in real short is kind of like Uber for moving, and we provide services to local moving organizations. So we're taking local moving organizations that are either throwing away interstate moving leads or servicing them at a loss or providing them to partners that aren't paying them as well, frankly. And we're putting them in the interstate moving business and helping them make more money. In some cases, a substantial amount more money. And we do that with a very strong technology leverage platform that harnesses AI that matches real-time capacity with real-time need for shipments. That probably our most significant achievement is being able to price live shipments in real time that we can fix and guarantee the price on.
So,
And no
so
one else
that's
can do that.
that's actually pretty good. So, if you were a service provider and you wanted to get involved with NexMuv, what, like, tell us a little bit about that, like that you can provide real time quoting. What would that look like?
Well, so the reason why that's important, and I think that Mario, you are keenly aware of this because you operate just like this, right? So when you're lucky enough to get a prospective customer on the phone, the last thing you want to do is try and hand them off to somebody else, because every time you hand them off, you run a 50% chance of losing them. So you just cut your conversion rate in half right off the bat. So we enable your team to go ahead and give them a real-time guaranteed price on that interstate move when they're on the phone in real time.
Oh, wow. That's nice.
It's a big
That's nice.
difference.
And that's good from a
Yeah.
sales perspective, because definitely I understand that handing off a lead, it turns a customer off a little bit, but this way the local mover can quote right then and there. Now, let me ask you this. So if
Well,
I'm a
it's not
local
even a matter
mover,
of turning them off. You're just going to lose. You're going to lose their attention, right? They're looking and trying to concentrate on this right now, and in this ADD driven world, they're going to move on to something next, and you're going to have a hard time getting them back. You just will.
wow. No, you know what? I agree with that. Let me ask you this. So if I'm a local mover, just to like paint different scenarios for you, let's say I'm based out of California and I've got to move going to North Carolina, but I know I can load it myself, but I don't have a crew over there to unload it. What do you have any solutions for that? And can you get labor
Man,
for
that's
it?
exactly what we do. Yeah, so we have a network of 25,000 different providers in markets. So we typically have a primary, secondary, and tertiary option in multiple markets. We select our our partners based on both cost and quality. So we're providing very good quality services across the board. But as a local mover, look, I want you to be in charge of your move. So if you have a good crew, in fact, let's be frank about this. The origin services cast a larger shadow over the quality of a move than anybody else. It's the first impression to the customer. It's the job you do packing a shipment, if you're packing that shipment, and it's how that shipment is loaded that it is a huge determining factor in how that move experience ends up going, right? So
No,
we're
sure.
delighted to have good quality local partners that can both sell and then service those moves on a local basis and keep that revenue.
And I think that, that opens up too, like, I've got a lot of friends that own smaller moving companies, and sometimes they're just booked up. Like, I mean, they've got their own trucks and gee, they've got their customers and they can't service the move even at origin. Would that same solution work at origin, or does that just work at destination? Like if I couldn't load it, but I could book it. Would that work too?
So Mario, our largest client doesn't load or unload a single shipment because they realize that they're not very good at interstate van line loading. And so they leave that to us. So we do it all.
Oh, wow. That's a great, that's
Yeah.
that's a great option. So
And
basically,
man,
no.
I
So
I
basically,
feel like I'm talking all about NexMuv. I still want to make sure we're keeping on topic, man. I want to talk about moving. I love moving.
no, I just wanted to get a segue into that too as well. You know what I mean? I wanted to give you an opportunity to talk about, because I think this is a good thing for local movers, because I think that in today's time, any way we can generate revenue is good. And so that's what I'm segueing
Well,
into, and I just wanted to like talk about it a little bit. I know that we've
yeah.
been able to use you guys, and we do long distance, but there's areas we don't service, and that's always been good, and it opens up more revenue opportunities.
No, that's been the great partnership we've had with you. Is you've been a great service partner from an origin services perspective. You've been a great service partner from an interstate move perspective because you're in our partner network that way. And then you've been a great sales partner. So yeah, we love having you part of the group, man. You know that.
Now, you know what? Do you think, like, I think gone are the days. I always think they're going to be the traditional door-to-door model of a mover, meaning like a blanket wrap type door-to-door. But I think it's becoming smaller. Do you think that, because, and then I think guys don't want to be away from home as much. I remember when I was on the road as a driver, I was on the road sometimes 8 weeks at a time. And I think that, you know, that breed of person is starting to go away a little bit. Do you think that helps? I mean, do you think you see the industry switch that way, or what do you think about that?
So you and I we're old, right? And so we've been in this industry a long time and we've seen a lot. And I can tell you, as a kid growing up, I remember the professional drivers that my dad had on board. And I can tell you that that old school model where that one driver who typically would travel with part of a crew, having that one driver experience beginning to end used to be the absolute best model you could get, right? From a class
Absolutely.
act move perspective. It's changed. It's changed, Mario. So, and I mean, if you want to go back in time, let's talk about the 70s, right? In the 70s, truckers were like cowboys, man. It was cool to be in a truck. It is no
It
longer as
was.
cool to be in a truck. Um, all the electronic, and let's be frank about this, right? A lot of drivers, they ran hot. And so they spent more hours driving than they should have spent driving. And with all the electronic logging requirements, with all the safety requirements, and the downward compression of margin on margin in moving and van line services, the guy that's getting squoze out is the driver. And the sad truth is that is not the quality solution that it used to be. And I would tell you that in my belief, the winning solution from a quality service perspective is the same exact model we have. Because it's kind of funny. The least valuable thing that a driver does is drive. Yet we call him a driver. Yeah,
No,
the most
yeah,
valuable
no,
thing that those people do is yeah, they
I
engage with the
couldn't agree with you
customer on a
more.
meaningful level. That they make sure that their goods are cared for, and they know that, right? And our crews do exactly that on a local basis because our local move partners send out guys that are fantastic. And frankly, Mario, it doesn't matter that it's a different guy at origin and a different guy at destination. You'll get the same experience. It's the intermediate transportation that's the commodity, and you don't need that high quality resource doing that anymore, which is why we have the model we have.
Agreed. You know, I think that, you know, I know that when I was an operator, I performed a high quality operation, and all the guys that are still out there, we definitely appreciate you. This is just another segue, and it's something that, you know, for on the service provider side, if guys are thinking about getting off the road and they're just tired of being on, that they could like segue into as being one of the service providers for NexMuv. And I think that would be a segue into another side of it. I know that people are getting older kids or grandkids or even some are young kids and they can't be away. This might be an opportunity to start another business and to be self-employed and realize the American dream. So I think it provides a lot of opportunity for everyone involved. Um, uh, I was talking to a friend of mine. I'll mention him. I think it's Adam Whitfield, and he did the March on Washington with the ATA the other day. I think yesterday on 9/11, and you know, we were talking about door to door. It's like there's a thing called the PRO Act right now that may um, threaten the use of owner operators nationwide. In California, we're under the same thing called AB5. No one really knows about it as much because if you're not from California, if you're from California, you do, but no one else. But there's a thing called the PRO Act. And I say this to anyone listening or any service providers out there, any boots on the ground guys, get involved. Adam took time out of his schedule. He went down. He actually got to see some congressional people. I can mention John Sweeney, friend of mine as well. He was down there. He met a lot of people from the southern states on his march. And anyone that went, and if you have an opportunity to go next year, to try to pencil in it on your calendar, because I think everyone has to get more involved with the industry. It doesn't matter how it falls. I mean, Next Way is a segment, but the moving industry will still keep going. And you have to get active at, boots on the ground providers, guys that are listening to me, they're boots on the ground. Hey, I know that the young kids, you may think, they don't listen, but they do. Take the time to show them how to do the job correctly. And just like there were the older guys that told us what to do and things of that nature. Now they may not all be receptive to it. I know that, but I think we owe it to the industry to teach anyone coming in that this is a viable industry. It doesn't matter if it's sales, operations, boots on the ground, but there is, there's career paths in the moving business. I think that, the movers, like some movers, not all, but we didn't show any progressions on step ups on how you can start from. I started as a helper. Actually, I started breaking down packing material as a kid, and up to an $8 million a year company. It doesn't always work. Like a lot of pain, a lot of suffering, but there's opportunities out there. So no matter what level you're at, and there's moving companies that do over $100 million and revenue. So the sky's the limit in the transportation business. There's different methods. I mean, we've got Wes on, but like if you really want to put your mind to it or whatever, and not necessarily you have to own it. I've got a friend of mine that I don't want to mention names, but he's a big salesperson at a big van line, and he didn't have a commission year under $500,000, a commission year, and he never owned the company, never wanted to. So there's revenue there. I've got another friend of mine that runs a big agent now, a huge agent, and started from the trucks, operations, local dispatcher, operations manager, general manager, regional, and now he's the chief operating officer of a large United Van Lines agent. Jake Moreno is his name, but I don't think
briefly, and I think you guys,
Mario, I don't think I know a highly paid moving executive that didn't come from lower end ranks somewhere. Like most of them got themselves real dirty before they got moved up, I believe.
No, that's good. That's good. So where do you think, like, where if you were a local mover, how would you get involved with NexMuv? Do you guys have a site? Do you have a login? Do you have a onboarding process?
Man, it's pretty simple. All I need to do is go to nexmuv.com, NEXMUV. And the second you pull up our front page, there's two options: get a quote or become a partner.
That's good.
Either way, we'd love to have you.
You know what I'll do is I'll have someone put that in the chat line. And then let me ask you this. Is there any way to white label, like if I become a partner, and I've heard this term, and I'm not a big computer guy, and I'm not really a big sales guy. Is there any way to white label? And white label, for anyone who doesn't know, is like you can use someone else's software but put your logo on it. Is there anything like that that you guys can do? I'm like just asking.
Yeah. So, Mario, we've got about $5 million worth of software at NexMuv. And for our partners, we white label that platform for them for free. And it will look and smell and act just like their brand and give them the ability to instantly book interstate moves.
And this is a good way. I wanted to tell, at least again, I wanted to tell all my younger followers out there that have a local moving company that they want to get into interstate. Don't be legal, moral, ethic and compliant. Don't, I mean, I know that like you might say, hey, I can just run across the state line and break a law. This might be a good segue into doing interstate. And it might, and you know, until you can really get going and you can make the revenue off of it and you can be legal. Because I think that moving forward, you're going to see more enforcement off of rogue movers. And you may not be a rogue mover. You may be a great service provider, but you're not licensed to go across the line. But they're cracking down on it and they're putting it all in one bucket. They're not going to say, well, he gave a great move. They're just going to say that you're uncompliant. And then you're going to get into trouble and then you're going to ruin maybe a chance to get a license because you're doing it the right way. So this is a good segue to me into someone that's interested in doing some, like if, especially on the East Coast states, you can run through states real fast. Even California. I mean, I think it fits everywhere. You know what I mean? Like you can, you know, build a business.
Well, Mario, I think you know this, but if you run hot and you get caught, there's no walking that back, right? And you may end up out of business in a hurry. Even worse, you know, you could end up having a substantial claim that your insurance company may not pay for. You could have a terrible wreck. I mean, you go through the scenarios, and it's just not worth the risk. And look, we're happy to help you make plenty of money. You don't have to make all the money trying to service it yourself.
No, that is good. No, I mean, you know, and that's one thing that I would push out to like everyone is like, hey, be aware. I mean, if you're doing it, it's like, hey, it's just a suggestion. You know what I mean? No one's telling you what to do out there. But as time goes on, especially everybody's, you know, I mean, we've all recognized technology. Don't think law enforcement doesn't use it either. You know, so when you're on Facebook
Yeah.
and guys showing, hey, I do this on the side, I'm like, okay, somebody's watching you guys, but you know, it's gonna be totally up to you to do that. But like, hey, get compliant on some things. I think it'll be okay.
So that's can you guys hear me? So that's a
Yes.
great so
Yep,
that's a
we
great
got you.
segue into a question that we actually had last week from Philip from San Jose, and he was kind of asking about, hey, I'm a driver and I do want to become an owner. Can you give us a little bit of tips, advice, the journey that it's necessary to take to make that transition? Because everybody wants to own a company, but nobody really understands where to start necessarily, especially if you've never known that before.
Well, you know, in the old days, you could start by being a subcontractor, and then, like I said, in California, that's changing. But you know, like I started with one truck, and we're up to 14 now. But you know, I say if I could do it all over again, because I made a ton of mistakes, I would say get your processes down, what it takes to do your move, and think big and think of like where you want to go, whether it be 10 trucks, 100 trucks, 5 trucks, 3 trucks, and start to reverse engineer it by that. And I'd say by that to say, okay, you have to have your way, your system. Like what is, you know, the Mario Reyes way, and document each process so that when you bring someone in, they have a written process of what to do and how to do it. It sounds a little corny, for the guys, but that's how, I mean, to be that honestly, that's what I did. I mean, but there was a whole bunch of times, man, I worked 18, 20 hours a day. You know, I've slept over the steering wheel. I've done all that. I've slept in the truck. You know, so it's a lot of hard work, and it just depends on how much you want to do. But I do say that I know it's corny. Again, I mentioned that it's corny. The American dream is still out there. So you just have to go get it. And it's a lot of hard work and dedication, you know, to do it. And just remember it's out there. And if you say, hey, listen, you know, I don't want to do all that again, hit yourself with someone who wants that upward trajectory, and have, even as an employee, you could have your own little company within a company. And by that, I mean, if you're running operations, if you're running sales, in turn, that is your company. And you might be able to convince your owner to tie it into your revenue. That's what I would say. But I would, of course, you have to start off with one, but I would have standards and say this and get it to repeat, so that you can have standards. And also the thing that I said before earlier in the podcast is have progressions. When your people want to progress, where am I going with you? You know what I mean? Okay, you can just be my helper for the rest of my life. No, you have to be able to show like, hey, listen, you do this, we'll get a second truck. You know, you'll be a driver. This is how much you'll make, and then they'll expand from there. And I think I think like the industry as a whole has done a bad, yeah, not I mean, you know, there's all respect all the older van line owners that paved the way for me to even be on the show right now. But I think we did a poor job of showing progressions to the younger guys and what they could expect. I
Yeah, I
did
think
have
that to answer that, if I were to answer that question, Mario, I think the first thing that whoever wants to make the leap from being a driver into being a business owner needs to do is save money. Because you're going to have something in your pocket to be able to do it. And you need to work on paying off the truck that you have, so you don't have to worry about truck payments. But then when you start to get to that spot, be smart enough to develop a very good business plan. So you have a plan, and you need to throw nickels around like manhole covers. And the mistake I've seen lots of people make is they end up with a couple of trucks, and they start to see cash rolling in, and they start to spend it. Can't do it. You got to put it back in, and you got to keep your nose to the grindstone, because you also have to prepare for off season, and a lot of people aren't necessarily ready for off season when it comes.
No, and I've made that mistake myself, admittingly. You know, I mean, like it was a learning process for me for the earlier question. You know, I had hard times. You know, I've been through hard times. It's like, but because I started a truck. I see another question out there, and that's from Jarrell Loman. And this
Yeah,
question
I
is,
saw Jarrell's question,
I'll
and
let you
I
handle it.
think I can answer that one, Mario.
Yeah, go ahead and answer
Yeah.
that. And
So
thank you for,
ultimately, the NexMuv platform it's a wholesale pricing engine for local movers to help local movers be in the interstate moving business. So we'll handle a move beginning to end for you on an interstate basis if you're a local mover. But Terrell, I welcome you to, in fact, Justin, if you can put my contact details in the chat or give that to Jarrell directly, I'd be happy to talk to him.
thank you, definitely. I think, and your question is good, Jarrell. It's a good question. And thanks for answering it, Wes. I had another one that wasn't, and Justin didn't have, and that was, what do we do with a customer that they didn't buy additional valuation or insurance, and so they were at our standard 60 cents per pound per article, but they want you to fix their item, and it's a sticky situation. You know what I mean? My advice is, you know, you can hold a hard line and say, hey, you did 60 cents per pound per article. Or then I know some guys that are like if it's within reason, you know, they fix it, because today in the review category, it could actually torpedo you a little bit. So I think that's on a case by case basis. Unfortunately, I don't think there's a real hard rule of thumb to it. You know, I think that there are clients that want maybe a little bit too much, or maybe they're like, it's sentimental value. I'm gonna like take up for the client. It's sentimental value. So then their price, and they say, hey, this is worth $2,000, and we all know it's worth for 200. So you have to make them a little bit happy to keep going on, or but a lot of guys are hardline on 60 cents per pound per article. What we do is I look at it on a case-by-case basis. If it's small enough and it's not going to be a huge cost, well, then I'll go ahead and take care of it. Of course, property damage that doesn't occur. I mean, that doesn't include property damage, and we're kind of on the hook for that. All the young guys out there, and for those that don't know, you should definitely use rug runners and door jam covers and things of that nature to minimize the chance of damage. One of the reasons why we have the issues in the moving business is because there's no standardized practices for everybody. In the electrical business, electrician's going to work on your house or work on a part, he'll turn the power off. But every moving crew does it a little bit differently, even though the same result happens. And so I think we need more standardized practices. And I hope that answers your question. That was from last week. And I think that was Jose from Salinas, California.
Yeah, Mario, I agree with you. It claims comes down to a business decision, right? So you got to make a smart business decision.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that.
And what's funny is it seems like every American believes they're entitled to cheat on their taxes and file fraudulent insurance claims, right? So you have to weigh some of that in your mind too, I think.
Oh man, that's a truth, and that's something that we have to like face as a business owner on that original question that you have to do on a day-to-day, thing. You're gonna have damage, unfortunately, even if like I've seen some of the best guys in the country. They post on Facebook and they are really good, but even and over the road, I've used a lot of those guys, and they still have damage. You know what I mean? And so like it's very minimal, but they still have damage, and it's just something you're gonna have to deal with as an owner, that you're gonna have damage, and things of that nature. And then for the other young man that asked me the question, is always remember too, as you're growing, when your guys can place their hand on you, they're going to say things to you that you're going to feel like, hey, why are they talking to me? Are they disrespecting me? No, it's just because they can put their hand on you. I did a lot of time at Grable Van Lines, and nobody really would talk to Dave Grable and ask them to buy him lunch. Like guys will come up to you as a driver or whatever and say, hey, can you buy me lunch? And then I'd ask them, I said, well, who has more money, Dave Grable or me? And they'd say, oh, Dave Grable. And I'm like, well, you don't ask Dave Grable to buy you lunch. Why are you asking me? But like, so when, like, as you go up and your company grows in size, people are going to ask you things that you may say, hey, man, that's disrespectful. No, it's just, I call it, they can put their hands on you rule. And once they can put your hands on you, they may say some things that it might be wrong, but you just have to give them the benefit of the doubt and try to explain to them, like, hey, man, like, we can't do it like this. And just so that they can understand, because you were them at one point, and you can't ever lose sight of it. And so sometimes people lose sight of where they came from, or even if they were never there, just the fact that there's other people, ladies and men out there, that have a different opinion, and we have to respect everyone's opinion. Do you have any more questions for us, Justin, out there? I see in the chat there that I might be able to answer.
Yeah, we do actually.
I do have a comment on something you talked about earlier, Mario, by the way.
Okay.
Yeah. So do you remember you were talking about the change in corporate?
We lost audio, Justin. I lost Wes.
Yeah, I'm seeing that right now.
Okay. Well, listen. So what we're going to do is I'm going to continue. Is
Right.
Wes had maybe some same connectivity?
We actually had some questions for you as well, and in the meantime, we'll hopefully Wes can connect with us. And kind of in terms of the business decision of collections, can you give us a story or an anecdote of maybe some of the short and sweet that you learned from a particular experience in terms of, okay, I need to make sure to avoid that, something actionable that our listeners can walk away with and be aware of in the future?
You mean as far as the valuation, the insurance portion?
The evaluation, the insurance, and then actually collecting. Have you ever been in a situation where the customer didn't want to pay?
Oh yeah, that's part of you know what? That's part of the business. What we try to do on a local level is we try to collect as the crew is delivering. Like if the crew is on schedule within like a little bit, and we try to communicate always with our crew leads, and we try to collect a little bit before it's done. In the old days, you had to like in the old days, like this is ancient history stuff, you loaded the TVs and all the valuables first, and then when you got near the end, you went in to collect the money. Things have changed, of course, because there's credit card machines and things like that out there, and so now we do that. Long distance, you should collect before you even open up the doors, and that will eliminate a lot of problems. And as a matter of fact, you almost want to do it before your crew gets out there, possibly the day before. The only thing about it is some people actually want to see that the truck is there. And then in that case, yeah, you have to do it on, but the credit cards are right there. You can do it by credit card, and that happens. But you know what? Sometimes like we've been slow to collect, and then once the customer gets their items, even if the job went perfect, they're trying to find a way to cut costs, and because they have the control then, and that's the unfortunate part. 98% of the people are honest. I mean, I found that they'll pay for whatever. If they're getting a good service, they'll pay for it. But there's that 2% out there that will get you, and it leaves a bad taste in your mouth. I wish that I could say, oh yeah, we'll collect in a couple of days. If we didn't do a good job, then that's fine. But I've had incidents where the bill was over $10,000, and we had literally like some plastic containers broken, and they didn't want to pay the bill, and until that was taken care of. And it was like, okay, not $500 off but the whole bill. So I mean, but those are like one-offs, or not one-offs, but they're not every day. But you still have to build a system, and if you do it all the same way, you'll never have that problem. I won't say never it occur, because it's just life, but you just have to be aware of it. Wes, glad for you to come. We were just talking about collections, and I think that you saw that when we're gone, and I just said we try to collect before it comes off the truck. Do you have anything to add to that? And how does NexMuv handle collections?
We always collect before the goods start to come off the truck. It's as simple as that.
Okay. All right, that's good. That's good. And then
of course, now we do have some corporate customers, and corporate customers have terms, and that's a different kind of an arrangement. But for those consumer shipments that we have, that's always we collect before we take goods off the truck.
And then so I think Justin, do we have any more questions, or because we're getting near our time?
No, I think just briefly, let's talk about what you're looking forward in this final quarter. What's the future looking like for NexMuv? What's the fourth quarter looking like for Southbay Moving Systems? And we can wrap it up.
Well, just speaking for Southbay, I'm always optimistic. So I'm saying, hey, up. Interest rates are going down. We're going up. For the industry, I think that it might be a little bit soft, but I think it'll be okay. Like, I think that if you improve your processes and you give good service, I think that this is a time for everybody that does good work to shine. And I think that there's enough work out there for the companies to shine. And to be honest with you, and to be frank with you, do you really want the guys that don't pad up the furniture and take care and value the customer's items and value the job that they do for themselves? Okay. You don't want them around anyway. So this is a time to separate yourself from the whole industry. So what I would say that to everybody is redouble your quality, go beyond and beyond, beyond and beyond. Anyway, you guys know what I'm saying, but it's like, be the best you can be, and you'll be surprised on how far you get. You commit to that over the next 6 months, and I guarantee it'll change your life. It'll change the trajectory of your company or your life. And again, for the people that say, hey, you know, I really don't care about this company, I just care about myself, I got something for you guys too. It's a Marioism. My Marioism is this: I love for you to be selfish, because if you're selfish and you want to make more money, how do you do more money? You do a better job. You do a better job, you can demand, or not necessarily demand, I shouldn't use that word, but you can ask your immediate supervisor, hey, listen, look, I did all this. Do I get a bonus? Do I get this? I'm bringing in additional revenue as a salesperson. So it is a selfishness in a way, and that's okay. But we all have an interdependency with each other. We all need each other in some way, shape, or form. And at the end of the day, you have to ask yourself with anybody, I don't think anybody needs anybody, but are you better with them than without them? And I think that's the question. So with that, I think that's it. I'm going to let Wes not necessarily sign us off, but have some closing thoughts or words. And
Yeah,
then,
well, I would echo what you said, right? So, you know what? Tough times don't last, tough people do. So don't sit around and wring your hands like, oh no, it's going to be tough, it's going to be bad. Take the time, rank your players, get rid of the dead weight, look at every process you have, see what you can automate, see what you can change to get better and more nimble. Work with your sales teams, figure out how you can close more and more often, right? Really look at what your customer acquisitions cost is and really work to drive that down. So that's what I would suggest. I can tell you at NexMuv, we have to be very busy right now because summer is over and we have an awful lot of local movers thinking about, okay, what else can I do to maximize opportunities? Well, we're one of them. We're a whole different revenue stream that can be a very valuable revenue stream that will still keep your guys busy. So, yeah, we're busy because we're talking to a whole lot of local movers right now.
that's good. And then I wanted to end it out with, if you want to meet Wes live and in person, he's going to be in Florida at the Moving Titan Retreat. And I think NexMuv will have a booth there too, if I'm not mistaken. And that'll be, I think, the 3rd and 4th of October, or 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. But I think the 2nd is just like a kickoff day. So you can meet
We'll
him
be there.
personally. You can meet him personally. You might have to buy him a drink. No, I'm just saying, but it's like,
Who knows? Maybe I'll buy them a drink. You don't know.
exactly.
Yeah.
But it might be a good in time. I also want, and I also have to, like, all the people in that event. It's not my event at all. They're great. It's the Titan event. It'll be a good thing to get involved with. My mentor and my coach, Louis Massaro, is one of the keynotes. Another one of my friends, a respected guy, Steve Kuhn, John Hamilton's, I think, has a spot there too. These are all friends of mine. Louis is nice enough today. We're at, I'm at a mastermind with him right now. And actually I'm in, because he does some stuff with Tony Robbins. I'm actually at Tony Robbins headquarters, and that's, the lighting's better than it's been for other things because they set me up with some professional stuff. So I'm real happy with that. So I had to give him a shout out. I couldn't do this without him. And a lot of the guys that you see doing the moving seminars came off of his tree. So he's an industry leader. He's going to be speaking at the event. So if you do get a chance to go there, he might have some nuggets for you. Steve Kuhn, John Hamilton, again, Wes is going to be there. He's not speaking, but he's going to be there. So it'd be an opportunity for him to talk further about NexMuv with you and for a nice meet and greet. And I think that's about it. So with that, I want to thank you, Wes, for coming on. Thanks for the comments, Hunter, in the chat line. I wanted to say good luck to you in the next quarter. Good luck to the next one. We're going to be coming out to you. Our next telecast is going to be with some of the guys that went on the March on Washington, and they're going to tell you they're boots on the ground guys. And then we're going to have one industry expert with them too as well. Look forward to that. I wanted to say goodbye to everybody today, and good luck to you guys out there, and God bless.
Thanks for having me, Mario. Thanks, everybody.
All right, you guys. That's the NexMuv. That's our Meetup Movers webinar. I'll see you guys soon next week or next month. All right. Have a good one.
Thank you.